I'm not sure it's morning. We might want to look into it. I'm a little concerned about you now there, Adam.
Well, I did some things this week, so yeah, I reactivated my Instagram account, renamed it, said fuck it. If Terry's got Instagram going, I'm gonna go Instagram as well. And I've been posting some straight off the couch stuff, and I mean everybody's gonna see my like normal life on it too. But I mean, yeah, get to know us a little bit, you know.
No, it's back. Give it to the quarterback. No, we got the running back. What? Straight off the couch. Here are the stories we're going to be chasing today.
As always, we're going to be chasing this week in the NFL. Week 8 just got over with, but before we get too far into this, let me bring in my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent and apparently busy Adam Weidel.
Hey, buddy. Great week for football. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a really great time watching this week's games, to be honest. We just kind of like a prelude, or so to speak, cliff notes from last week if you didn't listen. We didn't have a lot of faith in the primetime games.
And it seems to have been not ill-placed.
No, they were actually really good. I mean, yeah, the teams involved, sure, we weren't too excited about them, but the games were competitive.
That's true.
And I think that's what we always want, is just competitive football, especially at this time of the year. We just finished week 8. We're going into week 9, which is the halfway point of the season. Like, people got to start making moves.
Like tomorrow. Tomorrow is the halfway point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And yeah, the trade deadline's coming up. But let's roll the ball with the first game of the week. That was the Vikings at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. I was a little surprised that the Rams performed as well as they did.
I did not see Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp being back at the same time.
No, that was a little bit of a shock. And
it was a little bit of a shock.
So the Rams took the Vikings handily, 30-20, but the Vikings were never really in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't look like the Vikings that we've seen this year for sure. They did have a chance at the last, 30 seconds of the game to, make a comeback. It was 28-20 at that point. And the refs miss a very obvious face mask.
Very bad weeks for the ref in general. A lot of bad things going on, a lot of missed calls or calls that were questionable. And there was the one, was it last night or Sunday night? I forgot exactly which night it was. I think it was Sunday night. The wide receiver came down, landed on the same foot twice, but not the other foot.
Oh, yeah, that was last night.
Oh, was it last night? And
that was last night.
And I get it, 2 feet, but if you have one down twice, shouldn't that count? I guess you can be a running back and hop into the end zone on 1 foot, and it's perfectly fine. But you can't catch a ball on 1 foot and be perfectly fine. So
yeah, you can't toe tap with the same foot twice. It doesn't count as 2 feet, but we'll get into that one when we get there.
And like I said, Vikings, Rams, the Rams played really well. The wide receivers both back, both looked healthy. I wonder if they're going to put Cooper Kupp on the auction block after the outcome of that game.
I absolutely think not. I think if they lost that game, they could have put some guys out there. I mean, we have a week until trade deadline's done.
Right.
So if they lost that game, I think LA's doing some wholesale changes, and they're trying to get some salary cap because they know they can't win. But that division's wide open right now with a lot of like 4-4, 3-4, 4-3 teams.
Right. Right.
So they still have some competition. So if they were a 2-5 team right now, they might try to offload some of that salary cap, but I don't think it's going to happen now.
And that brings us to our Sunday slate of games. Let's start with the nooners. Packers at Jaguars. I'm so sick and fucking tired of the Packers winning with 2 seconds on the clock and a field goal.
Now let's back it up just a touch. So I've had a couple people, they don't understand our 1 hour time difference because I'm in the Eastern time zone, you're in a Central time zone. So you say nooners.
Oh, and they're thinking 11 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock here, right? So they're just like, there was a game on at noon? Did I miss like 2 hours of football? Because like some people show up at like 2 o'clock, right?
Right.
Because it's Sunday. They're just like, did I miss like 2 hours of football already? I was listening to your podcast, and Terry said that games were starting at noon or games were starting at 8:30.
See, I'm usually really
no. Terry is an hour behind us. He's in the Chicago area, so that's considered Midwest. So they go back a time zone.
I'm in the Central time zone, so I apologize. Yeah. I will try and moving forward. I will try and amend my speaking. I usually do because I know for you what time it is. I know like my friends in Paris and London what time it is for them. And I have a lot of friends in your neck of the woods, Adam, and I know what time it is in their worlds, but I keep forgetting to talk about it in the podcast. So I will try and amend that.
Yeah, we have to kind of keep. We should almost use like standard time as, but then that would confuse everybody.
We should Greenwich Mean Time, yeah.
GMT -5.
But that was a lot better game than I thought it was going to be honest with you. The Jaguars were not only competitive, it went down to the wire with the Packers. Jordan Love
They certainly look like the Jaguars want to win now for some reason.
And Jordan Love is going to be out for an indefinite amount of time with, was it a hammy or groin or something?
A groin. I think it was a groin. Very close.
Yeah.
But Malik Willis seems to be able to do the job.
And that makes you wonder about that huge contract they gave Love in the offseason. But let's move forward. Another 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock noon game, 1 o'clock noon game. We have the Cardinals at the Dolphins. The Cardinals went out and performed really well, and it was Tua Tagovailoa was back, but it didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference in the final outcome of the game. The Cardinals went ahead and won anyway.
I think the Cardinals are, again, they're in the same division as LA.
Right.
Right. And it's a very competitive. It kind of reminds me of the NFC South, how it's just like, if you can get one game over 500, you win that division. That seems like how that division's playing out this year.
It does. And Seattle's looking better than they have for a while, and Seattle and Cardinals and Niners and Rams, and that's just, I would call that the second toughest division in the league right now, right after the NFC North.
And we had no shortage of Kyler Murray running around like a toddler with the Benny Hill theme going on.
That brings us to Jets at Patriots. Your Patriots actually pulled one out here.
Oh my God! So, the big takeaway.
I can watch Aaron Rodgers lose every week. By the way, let me just get that out of the way.
I cheered so hard because I did not want to be a 1-7 team. 2-6, I'm okay with. I didn't think the honest opinion of me for this season was like, if we get 4 wins, we're probably okay, because
everything's new.
Offensive line is just garbage,
and everything's new. They got they haven't said it out loud, but they might as well just say rebuilding and get it over with.
So Patriots squeaked that one out. 25-22, but let's talk about the opposite team. Is this got to be the biggest Jets bust in the history of the Jets? They have so much money, so much talent, and you know what? There was no Jets interception. They pushed for 250 yards offensively. They did everything right, and they still can't win a football game.
I don't know what's going on with the Jets. I think them firing Robert Saleh was pretty much throwing in the towel, and I think it was premature. Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to call him washed up yet. I'd like to. Believe me, I don't like the guy. I don't like his personality. I don't like his play. But if I'm being intellectually honest, which I try very hard to do, he's coming off an Achilles at 39 years old. That's going to take a season or two to come back. At his age,
I'm kind of tired of of the news conferences like that he does.
Yeah,
and
his attitude is just
puts blame on somebody else. And
everybody
like
but himself.
I watched this week, and he was just like, "Oh, this was this was an out route red line. He was supposed to go straight up the middle. He did, and he just blames everything. Like, this was the play. He tells you exactly what the play is, and he's like, he just didn't turn. It's like, take some accountability for yourself, bud.
Own up to it a little bit there, Aaron. That's what I mean about the way he talks. It's and another thing that he was getting before and he's not getting now. He was working the refs pretty hard for most of his career, and when the last 2 or 3 years at Green Bay, they seem to give him a lot of stuff because he's Aaron Rodgers.
He's not getting the calls in New York.
He's not
that's for sure.
He's not getting the cachet he had when he was in Green Bay. So that's going to be interesting to watch as the season progresses. That brings us to our next game.
I saw him throw his hands up a lot and just go over to the zebras and be like, "What the hell's going on?" And they were just like, "Ignore that motherfucker."
And back in Green Bay when he did that, he got flags a lot. Pass interference and holding calls, and yeah.
There's nothing that annoys me more in this game than the late flag.
Absolutely.
The play's been done for 10 seconds, and all of a sudden somebody throws some laundry on the field. And it's like, what was that for? Was there like somebody have a punch up on the sideline or something? What happened?
That's the only time to me it's acceptable as unsportsmanlike conduct, somebody getting in a dust up on the sidelines. And other than that, the play's over, let it die, move on. And that brings us to our next game of the day. This was a little bit of a surprise. Ravens losing to the Browns with Winston. Jameis Winston putting up, 330 yards and putting 29 points on the board?
Yeah, so there was a stat that I saw, and it was last 19 games with Deshaun Watson couldn't put up 19 points or something like that. Yeah, First game with Jameis Winston, 29.
Yeah, he hadn't reached 20 points his entire career in Cleveland, and Jameis Winston does it his first.
Yeah, he does. I mean, Jameis is a good quarterback. I mean, ever since he got that LASIK eye surgery, that's another thing that we're gonna have to touch on later is LASIK eye surgery. But
he's got all the physical skills needed. He's just a head case. That's his biggest problem.
Oh, he's just a crazy dude.
Yeah, he's a head case, and
but he can throw a ball.
He can. Remember when he was in Miami as a quarterback, and he was suspended for a game, but he was on the sidelines in full uniform.
Yep.
You're suspended, man. What are you doing out there? And he's high-fiving his teammates, and you're not supposed to be on the sidelines. You're suspended. And something similar happened when he was in Tampa Bay. He was not suspended, but he was in trouble. And he just went up to I think it was Tony Dungy was the coach at the time. Not Tony Dungy. I'm sorry. Lovie Smith. And he and Lovie Smith got into it because Lovie's like the most laid back guy ever. And he got in Lovie's face, and you see Lovie turn red and point at the bench and tell him to go sit down, and he didn't. He just went back out in the field. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did the same sort of stuff on the Saints. So we talked about this on the previous episode. I couldn't remember.
He's a head case.
What game it was where they were up like 60 points or 50 points, and it was a Falcons Saints game. Falcons under Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
And Arthur Smith lost his shit, as Jameis said, let's just go for it to get this guy a touchdown. And it was probably it was an end of season thing. It was probably a bonus in somebody's contract or something like that. And he was like, let's get you the money. And Arthur Smith just lost his shit on the sidelines, just like, how could you do that to us? We're already beating us by 45 or whatever, right? Yeah. He's just losing it.
Yep.
But Jameis is that kind of guy. He's just kind of a rebel.
And let's go ahead and move on to the next game. This one was a bit of a shock. Eagles beating up on the Bengals, man. The Bengals have become the kid you pick on in the schoolyard, I think.
I don't know what happened with the Eagles, but they went into training practice and were just like, you know what? We're back. And they look good. They did look good. And the Bengals still don't look good.
No, they do not. That brings us to Texans-Colts. Texans outlasted the Colts, but big news today coming out of Indianapolis. They're going to bench their starter and go back to Flacco.
I was so excited to read that. Yeah, because Anthony Richardson decided to leave the field because he was tired.
He took a play off because he needed a breather. That's what he said. Yeah. and when you're the starting quarterback in a first-round draft pick, you're not allowed to be tired. And
I'm sorry. I'm tired.
and let's face it. I mean, he's 22 years old, 23 years old, whatever. Dude, I've seen guys in their. Tom Brady didn't take a playoff, and he was playing until he was 45 fucking years old. You don't have that. You don't have that juice yet, dude.
He's lucky he's not playing defense because those guys are always tired.
Oh yeah, and that brings us to Titans at Lions. The Lions putting on a clinic there. Even David Montgomery had a touchdown pass in this game. So
the Lions
they're legit.
Hands on the team to beat right now. They are putting up these 50 burgers almost like every other week.
Yeah, they're unstoppable, and they're, like I said, they put on a clinic against the Titans. That brings us to the NFC South matchup between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. That didn't go the way I expected it to at all.
I saw that one going Falcons' way because, 2-star wide receivers down.
That's true. That's a fair point. Well made.
The fact that it was a 5-point game impressed me. I figured the Falcons would own this by at least 2 touchdowns. Tampa
leaned on their running game.
Yeah, and it's good on them. They it looked good in Tampa Bay, but now the Falcons have the advantage in that division because they've beat them twice already.
Yep. Yeah, now the Buccaneers have a huge uphill climb ahead of them. That brings us to Saints at Chargers, and the Saints weren't even in the game at all. They might as well just stop showing up.
Yeah, I mean, without Derek Carr under center, I don't know what this team's going to do. They look like, Terry, you and I talked about this, I don't know how many times. Wow, the Saints are the team to watch. They're putting up 45, 50 points a game. Oh, my God. And then that was only the first 2 games, and then after that, they just kind of pittered off.
Yeah, it was like, where did this come from? And now you're going, where the hell did it go?
Yeah, it just disappeared so fast. I thought these were a legit contender by the amount of points that were being put up on the board, but apparently we were just completely wrong.
Absolutely.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that they can't put up even like 30 points in a game.
Yeah.
We're not asking for much. A competitive game of football, like a good shootout game, usually runs like a 31-28 or something like that. Like they're 31-24.
Yep.
Something like 27-24, something like good shootout game. You're close to 30 points. These guys didn't even break 10.
Nope, they didn't. And it's really sad what's going on with the Saints right now. That brings us to our last 1:00 noon game. Bills at Seahawks. The Bills go into Seattle and just shut the Seahawks down. It was 31-10, and Josh Allen is looking very comfortable in this system with his team at this point in time.
And pouring rain.
Yeah. They just looked
fantastic.
Pouring rain,
and both of us last week picked the Seahawks, and our friend and listener Tyler says, whatever you're doing, just keep shitting on my Bills because every time you do that, they win.
I like the Bills. I don't shit on them very often, Tyler.
I do.
But. I know you don't like Josh Allen. Yeah. I'm going to skip the 3:00 game to the 3-4 o'clock game, and I'm going to go to Chiefs Raiders. That was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but the Raiders went ahead and lost anyway. It's hard to beat the Chiefs and the referees. It's just.
So I was actually going to dress up because from 2 Super Bowls ago, I had a buddy come in with it was Eagles and Chiefs. He came in with a Chiefs hat, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, bud!" And he's just like, "No." And then when he left, I took the hat off his head, and it's on my shelf. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to get some dark sunglasses at Kane. And I'm going to, on a referee shirt, I'm going to wear that Chiefs hat, and that's going to be my Halloween costume.
get a black and white hat and put a Chiefs emblem on it. There you go.
I'm just going to wear the Chiefs hat with the referee shirt and the dark sunglasses and the cane, and I think that would get the point across really good. Just for Halloween this year, because we are 2 days away from All Hallows Eve.
And that brings us to Panthers at Broncos. The Broncos looking pretty good in this game. It wasn't outlasting game. It was 28-14. They doubled the Panthers up. So the Panthers are in free fall at this point in time.
I think you're going to see the Panthers going to do some eBay style discounts this week, and they're going to try to offload any like high salaries that any team that will take them.
Yep.
Because they know their season's done. Like there's no chance that even if they win the next 9 games,
there's
no chance they make the playoffs.
They're not going to downlive the first 8. They're just not.
Yeah. There's just no way.
And that brings us to the last 3-4 o'clock game. That is Bears at Commanders. Whoa, my Lord. A lot happened in this game. I don't even know where to start.
So the game was very defensive based. I figured seeing number 1 versus number 4 overall pick.
Right. It was strength on strength, yes.
Right. So both QBs were rookies, 1 and 4. We're going to see some this could be a shootout, like super long balls down the field. They're going to take the big ball shots, all that stuff. Was not like that. It was a show of the defenses. Once one team got moving, the other team would find a way to stop them.
Both teams
goes down to field goals.
Both teams had touchdowns overturned because of penalties and had to settle for a field goal.
Right.
The Bears held the Commanders to no touchdowns for 49 minutes or something like that. Because I live in Chicago, the Chicago metropolitan area, obviously I hear all the Chicago talking heads. I'm sure everybody who's a football fan has seen or heard what happened at the end of that with the Hail Mary and the wide receiver or the cornerback taunting Commanders fans as opposed to being in position. That's not what the football players, former football players, and sports pundits in Chicago are talking about this week, though. They're not talking about the Hail Mary.
What are they talking about?
The play right before the Hail Mary. Even Tony Romo addressed it. They were in a prevent defense.
I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, but they were in a prevent defense. So I think I forgot if they rushed 3 or 4. But everybody else was a corner or a safety, and they were covering the deep ball. They were just making sure that they did not throw a deep ball. Unfortunately, and this is what Romo pointed out, you got to protect the sideline and don't give up the cheap intermediate stuff because they had enough time to run out of bounds if they're on the sidelines. And that play right before the Hail Mary, 13 yards, run out of bounds, stop the clock with 3 seconds, Hail Mary, game over. If they'd have played, if they'd have played the receiver
within Jaden's range,
right.
if they would have played them tight, then that Hail Mary never would have happened.
Right, that's what they're talking about. The other thing they're talking about, and I didn't realize this at the time. It wasn't until they started talking about it was like a light bulb moment. Chicago had 3 timeouts. Why not take a timeout before the Hail Mary and make sure everybody understands what the assignment is?
Yeah, because it doesn't matter at that point. There's only 3 seconds left.
Right. And it's not like you're doing Washington a favor. They're on their own 30.
Yeah, and he still ran around, like Jaden Daniels ran around with zeros on the clock before he launched that ball.
For a good 2 or 3 seconds, he ran around with zeros on the clock. Yeah. And why not take a timeout, make sure everybody's on the same page, talk to your one cornerback and say, don't fuck around with the Commanders fans. Do your fucking job. And make sure that the deep guy in front of the guy who wound up with the ball was where he was supposed to be. Why not take that time out and make sure everybody understands the assignment?
That's a coaching problem.
That's a coaching problem.
They need to rectify that for sure.
And that's what they're talking about this week.
Tyreek Stevenson, he's getting the blame, and he actually put out a tweet that said, I'm sorry for what I did. I will be better. I've learned from this experience.
See, and that came across to me as heartfelt. So I'm going to give him a chance to prove he learned. I don't like.
I'm giving him a pass on that. It takes a big man to say, hey, I fucked up, and I'm sorry to the fans. I'm sorry to my team.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to do better.
But he also got prior to that. He got an unsportsmanlike conduct that cost him 15 yards.
Yeah, he was wound.
He
was wound up.
Yeah, they knew coming out of college that he was a bit of a head case, and they knew he was a discipline problem. But again, that timeout would have given you a chance to say, listen, stop this.
Yeah.
I saw what you're doing.
Let's reset, guys.
Yeah.
This is the assignment. Let's just get out of here with a win. It's a close game. It can go either way at this point.
Right.
Let's just
Right.
anything can happen. Let's just, hunker down, do our jobs, get out of here with a W.
And that's what they're talking about in Chicago this week. That brings us to Sunday night, which was actually a lot more competitive and a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. The Niners sort of get healthy on the Cowboys. Niners win at home 30-24 against the Cowboys.
There is nothing healthy about the 49ers right now. It's just next man up, and everybody that's next man up seems to do their job.
Now, did you see the Niners? They scored one touchdown, and Collinsworth was singing the praises of how much the Dallas defense is working hard that night.
Oh my God!
Oh, jeez,
Collinsworth on the defense of the Cowboys. That's all he talked about and how great they are. And then when they didn't make a stop, he's like, I don't know what's going on. These guys are the greatest defense. And then I look at the stats and I'm like, they're ranked 31 in the league defensively. You've got everything. They're feeding you information. You have all that information. What script are you reading off of?
Once or twice a year, I think he's underprepared, and he relies too much on talking points supplied to him by the football teams he's covering. Because there was a couple of years ago, he was playing. The Bears were playing on a Sunday night, and he kept talking about how great Matt Nagy was. Nagy was on his way out. It was obvious that he'd gotten some PR from a friend of his on the Bears staff, and that's what he was following. And that's the vibe I got Sunday night was he'd gotten PR from a buddy of his on the Cowboys staff, and that's what he was going to follow. And he kind of downplayed what the Niners accomplished, which was kind of bullshit. You're a professional, dude. You need to do your job.
Yeah, every time I see that meme video of all hail Patrick Mahomes, all I can hear is Chris Collinsworth's voice.
Yeah,
it's a different voice, but it's just like I hear Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, he's in there until like 2030 or something. He's got a huge long contract.
Yeah, he's got a 2029 contract or some shit. Yeah.
And I still wonder about the verbiage in there. How much does his kid get because of this?
Yeah, I mean, if they extended him that long, he probably took a discount so that Jack could get
Yep.
He's probably stuck there with Jack till 2029 too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And that brings us to
it was just that's one of those games where the 49ers, I have to hand it to them, man. They are a resilient team. They're on their third or fourth string dude in some positions, and Dak Prescott actually makes more money in a day than Brock Purdy does the entire season.
Yes. He makes more in one game than Purdy does for the entire season.
So the fact that the Niners slapped the Cowboys down again, I'm going to say again because it continually happens, 30-24 in that game. Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus bar the door. Absolutely.
That division's wide open for the 49ers to still take it.
And that brings us to last night, the Monday night game. Steelers remain undefeated on Monday night under Mike Tomlin, and the Giants just what's going on with the Giants? I don't think Daniel Jones is a terrible player, but he can't seem to get anything accomplished. And I think
he's playing too safe. Like he's not releasing the ball based on the routes. He's waiting till the guy gets there, and then he's saying, "Okay, he's open now, and there's nobody covering him, so now I'll throw the ball."
Do you think
everybody else?
Do you think they coached whatever talent he had out of him? Because every once in a while that does happen. Where the coaching staff just rides them, and they stop being the talent that they were. Happened a couple times with a couple of guys here. Yeah,
before you throw.
Yeah, happened a couple of quarterbacks here. I did see one. I forgot which game it was on, but somebody had up a graphic, and it was the amount of starting quarterbacks that the Browns have had since they started in the league, and it was like a huge number.
Yeah, so they've had 39 starting quarterbacks since 2000.
Yeah, it's insane. So Steelers won. Justin Fields, right before the game, claimed he had a hamstring issue, I think it was, or an oblique or something. But he hadn't reported it before the game. I'm wondering if maybe because Russell Wilson is going to stay in the starting position that Justin's wanting to be traded.
I don't think so. They looked like they were getting along on the bench pretty well. And he looks like he's happy to learn from Russell Wilson. Russell looks pretty good right now, by the way. Like
Russell looks healthy.
He looks a lot better than he did in Denver, for sure.
And he does have a nice touch on the ball. He does a lot more arcing.
Oh, he's got some beautiful throws.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was surprised when they made the switch, but it seems to be working out, so I'm not going to second guess it at this time. He's pounding on the window, dude.
Again?
Yeah, well,
man, this guy doesn't you give him a spot on the show once and he's just like, I'm showing up every week.
That's exactly it.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me.
Here he is. It's Coach Blackwell to tell us about the fashion choices teams had this week.
Hi, Terry. Hi, Adam. How was your week?
Fabulous. How was yours?
It was fantastic. Did you see the amount of color rush on the field this week?
I did. Which were your favorites? Which ones caught your attention?
Oh, my goodness. Cardinals come out again in all red. I kind of like it. I kind of don't. They need a little accent on the pants. Just a little
black on there. Just a little black.
Just something.
Yeah.
Just a little something. Just to set it off a little bit. It's almost too red.
And what was the other one that you saw that caught your eye?
So we saw Panthers, Colts, Dolphins, and Giants go white out. I don't know what's with this year. Everybody's going white after Labor Day. Big faux pas. The only ones that can get away with it is the Bengals with their big Siegfried and Roy layout. They got that alternate white tiger uniform. So good.
And Tampa Bay with the creamsicle uniforms, the throwback.
So one of my favorites, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 1976 creamsicle throwbacks. So good.
I was looking for Vinny Testaverde to be throwing a pass or two, you know.
We had the Niners with 1994 throwbacks, and then we had a whole bunch of color rush where the Lions wore Honolulu blue. The Jags wore Color Rush teal. The Patriots and Seahawks both wore Color Rush navy. And then last night's game, we have Color Rush black on the Steelers. But Terry, the uniform that takes it for me this year, or this week, for Week 8, the best, the greatest, it's the Commanders in the battle black uniforms. First time we've seen them, and they were scrumptious.
That was a pretty mean look with the maroon highlights and the yellow. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I would like to see the pregame on ESPN last night. They showed the Steelers' yellow helmet. I was wanting the Steelers' yellow helmet.
I was hoping for the Steelers yellow helmet too, but we didn't get it. But those Commanders Battle Blacks, I'm going to tell you a little something that won the week for me. The Battle Blacks had their nameplates not only underlined, but overlined too, so it was perfect.
And he sauntered out just after saying perfect. He wanted to go out on a high note, so we'll talk to Coach Blackwell next week. That brings us to this week's slate of games. On Halloween night, after the trick-or-treaters are all done, we have the Texans going to New York for the football Jets. The way the Jets are performing, I don't know. I don't see them winning this game.
Bro, so we've been shitting on these Thursday night, all the primetime games, because I don't know what the league was thinking. I don't know why we needed to see so many New York teams doing primetime games. It's because the league offices are in New York. I'm convinced of that. And I think that's why ESPN has the sachet they have, because that's the Eastern Seaboard Sports Network, you know? So we got Texans Jets this week. Texans, they're winning games by a field goal. Let's be honest, they're not like knocking anybody's lights out, but they're finding ways to win games.
They're finding ways to win games, and last year they kind of snuck up on people. They're not sneaking up on anybody this year. Everybody's prepared for them, but they're, like you said, they're winning, and that's all that's important.
So they just lost Stephon Diggs to a season-ending injury. They acquired him from Buffalo. Good job, Buffalo, by trading that off, because you'd be in that position right now.
Right.
What are they going to do? They got a week to figure this out. They need to have another wide receiver. I feel like they're going to pick up somebody probably from the Jags because the Jags are going to have a fire sale. You could probably pick up somebody from the Browns at this point because they already dealt Amari Cooper. Maybe they grab Njoku. I don't know, like a tight end, a big-bodied guy.
One of the things that was in the news in Chicago this morning, Khalil Herbert has been given permission to seek a trade.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple different trade rumors this week that we'll get into after we talk about these games. Are you taking Texans? Because
I am taking Texans. Yeah,
I'm totally taking Texans. By the way, last week we took all the same teams and we were both wrong twice.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, so that's a good thing for you.
So that brings us to our 1:00/noon games. Saints at Panthers. This is the battle of the yawns. Who's going to put me to sleep harder? I'm not even going to bother picking this one. That the next game up during that time slot, we have the Commanders going into the New York Football Giants. I don't see the Giants having a chance there.
Okay, so back to the Saints and Panthers. Just for my good buddy Randy Rojas, we're going to take the Saints on that one because the Panthers haven't proven anything this year. So what was the next game that you mentioned?
Commanders at Giants.
Oh, that's pretty much an easy one.
Yep. Even though it's a divisional game.
Even it's tied at the end, we have to worry about the Hail Mary at the end of the game.
It's a divisional game, but I don't see the Giants competing.
I think Jaden Daniels is the real thing, man. He's proven himself time and time again. Even if it is, there is a little bit of luck in this game sometimes. Absolutely.
That brings us to Dolphins at Bills. Tua came back pretty late in the week, and he's had a little bit of rust to shake off. I think he'll perform a little better, but I don't see him beating the Bills.
So because I'm going to say this, the Dolphins will beat the Bills. I have the Bills all the way. I think Josh Allen is playing MVP football right now.
He is.
I like this Josh Allen. I have shit on Josh Allen in the past. He is not the interception magnet that he once was. He's not trying to play Superman anymore. He's using his entire team, and he's extending plays, and he's getting those first downs when he has to.
He is the last
because he's the man.
Yeah, exactly. He's not because he has to, because he needs to. Right, and he's the last quarterback in the league he hasn't thrown an interception yet this year. Everybody else is.
He's looking really good.
Yeah.
I can't vote against the Bills at this point.
That brings us to Chargers visiting Cleveland. With Winston playing, I don't even know how to pick this.
This is a whole new ball game, right?
It is. It really is.
I'm going to take the Browns just for the sake of taking the Browns.
Just for entertainment.
Just because, just for entertainment purposes. It's a 1:00 game. It doesn't mess with our stats. I'll take the Browns.
Then we have Patriots at Titans. I think if the Patriots play the way they did last week, I think they can take the Titans. I really do. The Titans are struggling pretty hard right now.
We're going into Tennessee, and it doesn't look like Drake May's playing. It looks like he's in concussion protocol. So we've got Jacoby Brissett, or as I like to call him, Jacoby Brisket. And I don't know. This one's a coin flip. I always hope for the Patriots to win. It doesn't really matter for either of these teams at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if either of these teams this week start dealing players.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Patriots have some wide receiver talent that they've underutilized. The Titans have some defensive talent that is just not gelling with the rest of the defense. But I think pieces like that could, bolster up maybe the Ravens, maybe the Lions. The Lions might bolster up their defense a little bit.
The Lions do need a defensive lineman after losing their number one guy. So, yeah, that's a possibility.
So I could see – so I'm going to coin flip that one just because I see both these teams dealing players, and they're not going to be the same next week.
Then we have Cowboys going into Atlanta. At this point in time, I would be hard-pressed to take the Cowboys over the Falcons. I would not do that. I think the Falcons are going to win that one rather handily.
I think Kirk O'Chains has got this, man. He's putting up points. He's doing his job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got some great supporting cast around him. Like, let's be fair.
Then we have two mid-range teams. Raiders going into the Bengals. That's the last, or not the last. We have one more noon, 1 o'clock game. But we have Raiders at the Bengals. It depends on which Bengals team shows up.
Yeah, so, I mean, Raiders really do need a win right now. These are both two teams that I think could be dealing a lot of players come trade deadline in a week.
I know a lot of Lions fans are really hoping that Max Crosby winds up in the Honolulu Blue, but I don't see that happening.
The Raiders won't deal him.
No,
they've already said they won't deal him. I'm sure that frustrates the shit out of him because they're not doing anything to help him.
No, they're not. He's the only guy worth watching on that team. That brings us to the last noon, 1 o'clock game. Broncos at Ravens. The Ravens are going to be
scary.
The Ravens are going to be mad after what happened to them last week. I think the Broncos might as well just go ahead and set up a triage tent right now and get it over with.
So that I think the Ravens come out angry. There could be some broken legs and maybe like helmets falling off and like guys' heads spinning off their bodies. Broncos though.
Derrick Henry's
really changed my mind.
Derrick Henry's going to use somebody's femur as a toothpick.
Yeah, they're definitely. So they are in Baltimore.
Yep.
That's a huge difference from going to Mile High Stadium. Ravens are going to have a chip on their shoulder, and I honestly think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
I do too.
They have to get through the playoffs. I mean, they're great. They're a great regular season team, and we're starting to see like a lot of 5-3s, 4-3s, 5-2s because that's kind of the way the season is. Not everybody's had their buys yet.
Right.
6-2s, that sort of thing. So that's pretty even. I mean, they're both 5-3 teams. This one could be a coin flip, but I think the Ravens take this wholeheartedly. I think you're going to see the Ravens teams that you're used to seeing. I don't think the Broncos defense, even though the Broncos defense is excellent, I don't think they can handle Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
And that brings us to our first 3:05-4:05 game. Bears at Cardinals. After what happened last week, the Bears can it's either going to make them gel as a team or they're going to fall apart. I would like to see them gel, but I'm afraid they're going to fall apart. Because that's after something like that happens, you have to have a really strong, firm coach. And there's a lot of questions about Eberflus right now.
Yeah, I like to call him even flow, but he's not really.
No.
He's not really that even. And sometimes has no flow. This one could be a coin flip, but I feel like the Cardinals are on a high and the Bears they have a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth. I think you're going to see a better Bears team this week.
They're shell-shocked. Shell-shocked, yeah.
This one comes down to a late fourth quarter field goal.
Okay. The other one at that time, Jaguars at Eagles.
Eagles destroy them.
Eagles are going to destroy them. Then we have a 3:25, 4:25 start. We actually have two of those games. Rams at Seahawks. That's a divisional match. That's on the West Coast. Both teams are playing better than I thought they would. After what happened to the Seahawks, though, I think they're going to have a chip on their shoulders and going to take LA pretty handily. Yeah,
but you got Puka and Cooper on the other side being healthy, and Stafford doesn't look bad at all. This one's a fourth quarter field goal game for me. Coin flip it.
And then we have the NFC North, the Norris division of football. Lions going into Green Bay. I'm hoping the Lions keep rolling.
So this one scares me.
It does.
Divisional match. Lions look like the team to beat. Green Bay has a lot of resilience, and they seem to be able to get the job done, especially with Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Schmidt.
His name is my name, too.
That's the one. Terry texted me that like randomly Sunday morning.
That's because he was
Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Schmidt, and my brain just went into song mode.
He was on the Fox pregame show doing an interview. That's why.
I'm gonna go Lions 100% on this one. I'm taking Lions until they prove me wrong.
Yep, that's about where I'm at.
I don't think this team, like when they're putting up 50 burgers on the other team every other week, and then they're still putting up like 30 plus points when they're not putting up 50.
They are so good.
I think these guys are legit.
They are so good. The offensive coordinator is calling plays just to get them on film to make people watch that much more film. That's the point they're at.
Just like, let's get 2 offensive linemen. We're gonna route them into the end zone. They're gonna both be eligible, and then we're just gonna send the running back in.
Yeah.
And let's do a like a quintuplet flea flicker just for fun.
A quintuplet flea flicker screenplay. Yeah.
Like, let's just like misdirection. Like, they're the real Siegfried and Roy in the league. Holy shit! Like,
they really
magic.
are. They really are. Like I said, David Montgomery's throwing a touchdown pass last week, and nobody had that on their bingo card.
Yeah, I saw that, and I pretty much had to go change my pants afterwards. I was just like, no way! Like, everybody on this team can throw the ball.
Well, that brings us to football night in America. The Colts going into Minnesota. I think the Colts have a chance here. I really do. Minnesota's kind of in free fall right now, and Joe Flacco can still throw the ball really well, and the Colts seem to perform for Flacco at a better level. So I think they have a chance.
This game scares me.
Yeah, I think they have a chance.
This game scares me because, like, we've talked about this week after week. We thought the Vikings, wow, undefeated. They're legit. Now they've got, 2 losses in the last 2 games. And then the Colts, Joe Flacco, and their division's wide open right now. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about Tennessee. Tennessee's not competing for a playoff spot. So the Colts are, and under Flacco, they've been winning games.
They do.
Man, this one's tough. I'm looking forward to watching this game on Sunday night. This is exciting for me. Just because I'm a big Joe Flacco fan. I mean, I watched him win the Super Bowl with the Ravens, and I'm not a Ravens fan at all, but seeing him and how happy he was and how well he played, I was just like, oh my God, this guy's legit. And then he just kind of faded off. Mm-hmm. He wasn't. Mm-hmm. And then he came back and he got the Browns to a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. And now he's on the Colts, and it looks like he's going to make a run. And I'm always for that guy. That's always straight off the couch. The guy that they forgot about. And they're just like, you know what? We got a job for you. And he's like, well, I'm on my couch eating Doritos right now, but okay, I guess I could come play football again. I love those guys.
Yeah, he's like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. He's just like, I could throw a football over that mountain. That brings us to the last game of the week. That's the Buccaneers at the Chiefs. Oh, Baker. I know. Our boy Baker.
Baker's still playing at a super high level, and he's without his star receivers.
He's got nobody to throw the ball to.
But you know what? The Bucs could make a move this week for a receiver.
Yeah, but you got to beat the Chiefs and the officials.
Yeah. I honestly think the script in the NFL this year is that the Chiefs have to take a weird loss. I don't think they can go perfect.
Well, that's a fair observation, and it's possible. I would not be surprised.
I think the Bucs could legitimately. Oh, dude, we have to pick the Colts Vikings game. I was going to say coin flip on that, but we have to pick it because it's a primetime game.
No. I'm hoping. I'm going to go with Vikings just because the 3 in a row.
You're taking Vikings?
3 in a row.
Fine, I'll take Colts.
3 in a row. I don't see happening. I just don't see it happening. But I could be wrong.
All right.
It's just like
Bucs or Chiefs.
I gotta go Chiefs, man. Until they lose, you got to pick them, right?
Yeah, man. This is going to be the week that they lose because I got to pick the Chiefs. But okay, I'm picking Chiefs too. All right, so that's our picks. Currently, our picks are Terry has a season score of 16-12. And I am the absolute opposite of that, 12-16. So we're still got a 4-point gap between us.
Plenty of time left in the season.
Oh, dude, as soon as we get into that Christmas, Thanksgiving shit, my God. Plenty
of time to catch up. Yeah. And we're at that point in the season. I mean, we're looking at week 8 or week 9 this coming weekend. That's when everything starts shaking out and the league starts taking off. So, Adam, where can the boys and girls find us at?
So just a little housekeeping first. After Thursday night's game, LASIK.com has offered free LASIK eye repair to all professional sports referees with the motto, better vision, better calls. It's legit. You can look it up. Go to LASIK.com. It's real.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that was kind of funny. Check us out on Facebook.com/Straight Off the Couch, or you can check us out on Linktree Straight Off the Couch. If you want to find me personally, you can find me on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, the tweet deck at Adam Off the Couch. And I just recently reinvigorated my Instagram, so you can follow me there at Adam Off the Couch. Don't expect just football, though. It's just my life, and if you want to get to know me a little bit, then that's where to do it. Terry, where can they find you, buddy?
You can find me at X, on the X, at TREMUP. That's at TREMUP. On the Instagram, at TerraMuffTerry. That's at TerraMuffTerry. For my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent Adam Whitehall. Everybody have a good week. Be safe. God bless.
And remember, when the Chiefs lose, we all win.
Bye-bye, everybody.